Hey everyone, in this video we're going to take a look at part 20 of the Hercules story from Ritchie's Fabulae Faciles. Now this part is on his eighth labor, which has to do with the horses of Diomedes that eat men, right? The men-eating horses, sometimes it's called. Before we dive in though, like I always tell you, the first thing you want to do is find a vocab list or make one yourself. Learn these words as best you can. I always tell you Ritchie is great because he repeats a lot of the same vocab, but you still want to make sure that any words you don't understand, you're taking a look at them, you're writing them a list, making a Quizlet, whatever it is to practice. And if you need them, I can send you some of mine as well. But any way you can get the vocab down, that way you're giving yourself a leg up and an advantage as you move forward. It's really hard to translate if you don't know what the words mean. No matter how much grammar you know, you're going to be a little stuck. So start with vocab, make sure you have a good handle on that. Then the next thing you want to do is make sure that you understand the grammar. So as you read through, sometimes we do what we call the read and reread method, where you read it once, you write down any vocab and grammar that you don't understand, you look it all up, and then you read it again. You can get a jump start on that by doing a little pre-reading, right? Anything that you see that you're not sure of, try to write it down and keep track of it so you can learn what's going on with the grammar, so you can tie it into your vocab. And then once you have the grammar and the vocab down, there should be nothing stopping you from reading the story and doing really well with it. Once you have it, though, like I always tell you, the thing you want to do is read the story out loud. So if you can find a classmate, anyone who you can read this to, that'll practice your speaking, your pronunciation, have them read it back to you. Now you're working on your listening skills, and together you're both getting access to that part of your brain, right? Speaking, listening, reading. These are really important. You don't want to just pick this up and read it and translate it in your head without bringing it to life a little bit and speaking it out loud. So hopefully you're doing that on your own. I tell you in every video to try it. It is the best way to make sure that you're learning the language for what it is, right? It should be a language, not just something you're kind of translating as you go. So once you feel you're in a good place, let's go through this video, and hopefully what I do now, showing you and explaining it to you, matches up with what you've been doing as you read the story on your own. So the story starts like this. You have postquam ex insula Creta redit Hercules ab Eurysteo in Thraciam missus est ut equos Diomedes reduceret. So postquam just means afterward, right, or after. So after he returned, redit, right, from the island of Crete, which is what the seventh labor was all about. So after he returned from Crete, Hercules, missus est, he was sent. It's perfect tense, passive voice. He was sent by Eurystheus, right? There's your ablative of agent, right, telling you who did the passive verb. And he was sent into Thrace, which is in northern Greece, right? So if you keep going north, you run into the area they call Thrace. And he sent him there, right? It's a purpose clause. So when you have that ut clause, one way you can tell it's going to be purpose is you don't have that intensifying word like tom or ita or anything like that, tantum. If that had shown up in the first part, you'd be dealing with a result clause, right? When you have ut and it seems to be explaining why, this is a purpose clause. So it's saying, why did he send him into Thrace rather? Well, he sent him there so that ut, he would return, reduceret, right? He might bring back, you could say, the horses of Diomedes, right? This is the king who has these man-eating horses. And again, you can translate a purpose clause as either so that he might bring back, or you could just say he sent him there to bring back, right? You can kind of translate it as an infinitive. Either way, you're getting the right idea. It's explaining why he sent Hercules to Thrace. Then it keeps going. And you have he equi carne hominum vescebantur, Diomedes autem vir crudelissimus illis obiciebat, right? Obiciebat, there we go. Peregrinos omnes qui in eam regionem venerant. So it's saying these horses, right? He equi, right? Vescebantur is a deponent verb, and it takes an ablative as its direct object. It's the verb to eat or feed on, you might say. So you can translate this as these horses fed on. I know it's imperfect, but you're getting at the right idea. Fed on the carne. That's really your direct object here. On the flesh or the meat of people, of human beings. Hominum, right? There's your genitive plural. So they eat people. That's what makes them, special and a labor of Hercules. They're man-eating horses. Then you have Diomedes, however, right? A most cruel man, a vir crudelissimus. You have the superlative there, right? This most cruel man. He obiciebat. He threw. You could say. I know it's perfect tense. Was throwing, sure, but he threw to them, illis, meaning to the horses. Who did he throw to them? Peregrinos omnes. All the travelers or the foreigners, right? All foreigners who had come, venerant, into this region, or you can almost say into his region, eam regionem. So people who show up, right, unexpectedly, foreigners, he feeds them to their horses. Now, this is something that's worth thinking about. This is a direct violation of xenia, right, the laws of hospitality. You're not supposed to do this. So Diomedes, not a good person. You're not supposed to just randomly throw people to your man-eating horses and kill them. This is why he's not a good a good person, why Hercules needs to go and get these horses from him. Then it continues, and you have Hercules egitur, magna celeritate in Thraciam contendit, et ab Diomede postulavit, ut equi sibi traderentur. So Hercules, therefore, he contended, he hurried or hastened, you might say, into Thrace, magna celeritate, with great speed. And, right, at postulavit, he demanded from Diomedes, right, he's about to demand something, that. Now, since we had postulavit, right, you have this indirect command. So we don't know exactly what his command was, but we know he was demanding something from Diomedes, from the king. So that's why you have this clause and you have the imperfect subjunctive with traderentur. So he demanded that the horses, they might be or should be handed over, traderentur, right, sibi, to himself, right, to him. So Hercules is saying, you need to give these horses to me, right? So again, he demanded from Diomedes that the horses be handed over or should be handed over to him, meaning to Hercules. Then you keep going. You have cum tamen ille hoc facere nolet, Hercules ira commotus regem interfecit, et cadaver eos equis obici usit. So when, however, right, when he, meaning the king, right, Diomedes, when he didn't want, nolet, here is your verb, right? Again, it's a cum clause, so you have subjunctive. Nolet is just imperfect subjunctive. When he didn't want to do hoc, this thing, meaning when Diomedes says no, right? He's like, I'm not giving my horses. When he didn't want to do this thing, Hercules, again, commotus ira. So commotus is your participle, your perfect passive participle, having been moved, or you could just say moved by anger, right? There's your ablative, because you have the passive verb here, or the participle in this case. So moved by anger, he interfecit regem, he killed the king, which is, again, sort of an on-brand thing for Hercules to do. He's always got his anger issues. That's part of his personality. So he demands the horses. The king says no. So of course Hercules kills him, right? So he killed him, and he ordered, meaning Hercules ordered, the cadaver eos, his body, meaning not Hercules' own body. That would be a reflexive adjective here. This is meaning the body of Diomedes. So he ordered that the body of him, meaning the body of Diomedes, be thrown, obici. Here we have that passive infinitive. So you're saying he ordered the body to be thrown, equis, to the horses. So here's the irony, right? Hercules kills the king, and he gives him the same punishment that he's been dishing out to all these people, right? He feeds him to his own horses. That's what Hercules does with his body. It's kind of this divine justice type thing. And again, it's because Diomedes is not following civilized rules, right? So that's your punishment. Then it keeps going. You have ita mira rerum commutatio facta est. Is enim qui ante a multos cum cruciatu necaverat, ipse eodem supplicio necatus est. So thus, or in this way, you have mira commutatio. So that means like a wonderful change. Rerum means like of things or of events, right? So you can almost translate this as, in this way, a wonderful change of events was done, right? Facta est. It means, there's kind of a nice change happening here. Then you have is, meaning he, right? And it's going with qui. So for he who before, meaning Diomedes, the person who before necaverat had killed multos, many, there's a direct object, cum cruciatu, with torture, meaning it's referring to him throwing people to his horses. So the person who had killed a bunch of people with torture himself was killed. Necatus est is perfect passive. He was killed by the same punishment, eodem supplicio. So the eodem there means the same, and it's showing the divine justice, right? The sort of karma here. For years, he's killing people by feeding him to his horses, and now he dies by the exact same punishment, or he gets the exact same punishment, you might say. Then it continues. You have cum haec nuntiata essent, omnes qui eam regionem incolebant, maxima laetitia affecti sunt, et Hercule meritam gratiam referebant. So when these things, haec, there's your neuter substantive plural, these things had been announced. So here you have essent. You're looking at pluperfect passive with this subjunctive of esse there, right? So you're saying and it's because you have the cum clause, when these things had been announced, everyone who, omnes qui, everyone who was living or inhabiting in Koleban, eam regionum, that region, meaning the region where Diomedes was, everyone who was living there, affecti sunt, they were overcome, right, or affected, you might say, by the greatest joy, maxima laetitia. They were overcome by the greatest happiness or joy, and referebant, they were giving, right, to Hercules. Hercules is your dative there. Meritam gratiam, deserved thanks. So in other words, they're sending all their gratiam, their thanks to Hercules because he freed them from this tyrant and this crazy person who was feeding people to his horses, right? So they're extremely happy with Herc. Then you have non modo. Maximis honoribus et primiis eum decoraverunt, sed orabant etiam ut regnum rather, ipse suscipere. So not only, so you can see here you have a not only, but also. So non modo, ... Then you have sed etiam. So you're going to say not only this, but also that. So not only did they decoraverunt, did they adorn, you might say, almost like decorate, but adorn him, meaning Hercules, with what? We need adverbs here. With the greatest honors, maximis honoribus, and rewards, primes, right? That's what they kind of adorned him with. So they shower him with praise, honor, rewards. They're giving him all this stuff. Not only that, but also, orabant, they were begging him, right? They were pleading with him. Suscipere, that he might, and again, this is an indirect command because you have orabant there, the begging part. They were begging him, you can almost say to take up. Again, you can translate suscipere as an infinitive, but you might also say literally that he might take up the regnum ipse, so he himself, ipse, might take up the regnum, the royal rule, meaning the kingdom. They want him to be their king. So not only are they showering him with all this honor and these rewards, but they're telling him that we want you to be our new king, right? King of this region in Thrace. Then you have illetam and hoc facere nolebat, et cum ad mare redisset, navem occupavit. So we know Herc can't do this, right? He's doing the labors to get sort of absolution for his sin, so he can't do this, and that's what we have here. So you have illetam, right? He, however, nolebat, he didn't want hoc facere to do this. Facere is your infinitive, hoc is just your neuter, right? Meaning he didn't want to be the king. And so, right, so he didn't want to do this. And when redisset, when he had returned, right, there's your pluperfect there, right, in subjunctive, going with the cum clause, when he had returned to the sea, ad mare, meaning like to the shore, to the ocean, sure, he occupavit naum, he took a ship. So he goes back to the water and he takes a ship. It could be the one he came in, but he needed a ship to bring these horses back. So he doesn't take up the kingship. Then you have ubi omnia ad navigandum parata sunt equos in navi conlocavit. So you have when everything, omnia parata sunt, was prepared. Then you have ad navigandum. Navigandum here, you have the gerund going with ad. When you do ad plus a gerund, you're showing purpose. So you can almost translate this as when everything was prepared for the purpose of sailing, right? You're taking the verb navigare and you're turning it into a noun. So you're taking to sail and making it sailing, right? The act of sailing is kind of the idea. And you can tell by the ND that you have the gerund going on here. So when everything was prepared for sailing or for the purpose of sailing, however you want to do it, he conlocavit. So you have he placed, you could say placed together the equos, the horses, in navi, on a ship. So he got all the horses together and he put them on a ship. Dende cum idoneam tempestatem nactus esset, sine mora e portu solvet, et Paulo post equos in litus argolicum exposuit. So then next, Dende, so he puts him on the boat, and then when, again, we have another cum clause, when he nactus esset, you can almost say like when he had gotten, right? It's a pluperfect subjunctive again. It's a deponent verb. So when he had gotten idoneam tempestatem, suitable weather, you might translate this, right? It's not talking about a storm. It's just like good weather, right? Idoneam means suitable. So when he had gotten suitable weather, sine mora, without delay, solvit, he set sail, a portu, from the, from port, meaning, from the edge of the sea here, or the shore, you might say. And Paulo post. Paulo here means like a little. So you're almost saying like a little while after, you could translate Paulo post. Exposuit, he landed the equos, the horses, in litus argolicum. He landed the horses on the shore of Argolis. So he gets back to sort of mainland Greece. Not that Thrace is an island. I'm not saying that, but he does sail from northern Greece back down to Argolis, and he's completed his task here. He's brought the man-eating horses back, which is exactly what he had to do. So hopefully this made some sense. There's a lot going on here culturally. The idea of like feeding your guests to horses, again, Xenia is something you want to look up. But you're also seeing again that the anger and the brute strength of Hercules. I asked you for something, you didn't give it, I kill you. That's kind of part of his character as well. But you're starting to see a little bit more variety in the grammar as well. Now that we're getting further into the Hercules story, you're seeing a lot of subjunctive uses here, a lot of cum clauses. You got a gerund mixed in there. So hopefully you're keeping track of it. If there's anything that you're not sure of in terms of the grammar, again, pause the video, look these up. You can find descriptions pretty easily on YouTube, things like that, and make sure you understand what's going on with the grammar here as we get further and further in. But like I said at the beginning of the video, your best bet is to do read and reread, right? Read it once, write down all your problem areas, look them up, read it again, and on that second or even third read, you should be able to do this without having to look up all the words or get stuck on the grammar. Once you're able to do that, you're in a really good place in terms of understanding the story. If you have any questions at all, put them in the comments below. I'm happy to help you. But otherwise, like I said, keep at it, keep reading, and you should be getting better as you go. Good luck.